Hi everyone, it's Brian. Here's something you may not know. There is a VC channel called Uncommon Pallor. I'll put the link below, which is a Canadian VC channel. What a great name for a channel, Uncommon Pallor. I would never have thought of that. I believe, like many of us, he started during the pandemic. He's located in Ontario, and he's running a contest because he passed 300 subscribers. It's called 13 for 30, a baker's dozen of nonsense. And that's a really interesting title because in his channel, it's no nonsense. It's lots of conversations about punk and hardcore, lots of small records, lots of 7-inch records, and lots of things I've never heard of before. I do know some things, but it's always very educational. He's very plain spoken, uncensored. A lot of truths being spoken, so very interesting channel. So you should go there and check it out and subscribe because, after all, we all need more Canadian content in our YouTube feed, that is for certain. Mike has put together 13 questions for this contest, and apparently there's a prize. In any case, I'm going to do these 13, and hopefully I won't make any mistakes. So, let's see. Number 1, an album cover with a mammal on it. I was watching Berwickshire Mike do an entry for this one, and of course he made the comment that you could show any record that had a human on it because humans are mammals, but I think the intent is a mammal that isn't a human. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about me a little bit anyway, because I'm going to show a CD, the only CD I'm going to show. I'm going to take it out of here. This is a bit glary. This is a CD from Stefan Olsson and TB350. That title there in Swedish translates apparently to whips and carrots. So there's a mammal on the front, that's a horse. It also shows up on the rear jacket and on the disc. There it is. So you're wondering, what does this have to do with me? Well, if you were to acquire this CD and read the credits, I'm credited with photography because this photo was taken by me in Cuba, southern Cuba, probably in 1996. I could give you the whole rundown of camera gear and film that I used, but that's probably too much information. But I will insert the original photo right here, and I'll also add an image of the horse and carriage that I was in when I took this photo. In any case, I licensed it to them, and I was paid, and as part of that, I asked them if they would send me a copy of the CD, which they did. So, whips and carrots with a horse on front. This is not listed in Discogs, and I have not added to Discogs. Number 2 is a record that has food on the cover, and believe it or not, there are lots of records that have food on the cover, and I was almost going to suggest that if you've maybe a cover that had like a chicken wing dropped on it and left a stain, but I actually went for an image. So I chose the Jesus and Mary chain, Damage and Joy from 2017, which I think this was their first record since 1998, so 19 years had passed. And the inside looks like that, double record, here's the back. If you like Jesus and Mary chain, you know exactly what this is going to sound like, and it's pretty good actually. But I realize I haven't listened to it very recently, so I should probably put that on. So that's a pretty good record. So there were a lot to choose from there. An exceptionally terrible hairstyle. I chose the first thing that came to mind, and honestly, it couldn't really be anything else. This is from a band called The Flock of Seagulls. Let me turn it over for you and look at this. Now, 3 of the 4 guys have pretty exceptional hair, especially the guy up here. What's his name? Mike Score, I forgot. And you know, I will readily admit that there's probably a bit of jealousy behind this because even at the best of times, 30, 40 years ago, I could never have made my hair do that. I don't know what sort of environmental impact there is with having hair like that. But it must take a lot of product. Like, what would his morning routine be like if you wanted to have hair like that? I don't know. So there's probably a bit of jealousy there. I'll admit it. Let's see, number 4 already. A single-sided record, test pressing or picture disc. I don't have any test pressings, and I decided not to show a picture disc, although I have a few. I have a number of double records that have the 4th side that's blank or etched, but I decided to choose a 12-inch single that only has music on one side. And this is something that I would doubt, I could have used this in the Obscuria, TKR Obscuria challenge, because I would be as stunned if anyone else has this. This is Clash versus Madonna Well Hung Casbah, which is a mashup of Madonna's Well Hung, which I've never heard, and Rock the Casbah from the Clash. Look at this label number is STRUM, Strum 001, but the S is a $sign. That's pretty interesting. There also is an etching on here that says Madge Clash. DJ only radio promo, not for resale. There we have it. And the back has nothing, no grooves, completely devoid of anything, and the label is completely blank. So that's a one-sided record. And I found this in a thrift shop, oddly, years and years ago. I think I paid $1 for it. A record with a damaged sleeve. This one falls into the category of don't lend your records, or be careful who you lend your records to. This is REM's Life's Rich Pageant, one of my favorite REM records, but you can see suffers from water damage, because I lent it to someone and they weren't careful with it, so you can see damage here. It still plays, but it's kind of a little frustrating. No mold grew, but I'm a little upset that I got it back with water damage, and the person was lacking in remorse, unfortunately. Let's see, a cover with a weapon on it, and believe it or not, there's many covers with weapons on it, so I had no trouble finding one. But I chose this one because I think the cover is just too fantastic not to show, and this is Ice-T Power from 1988. I didn't even notice the weapon at first. No, I'm just kidding. So the woman's holding this weapon here in this really interesting outfit. I'm going to flip it over, but I might have to cover this part up. I'm not sure, but she has, you can see the weapon there, and three weapons. I mean, I was fascinated with this record cover first time I saw it. It's pretty incredible. I mean, your pusher's on here, the cover version that he did. So yeah, this is there's definitely weapons on this cover. Number 7 is a 5-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch, or 10-inch record. I don't have anything smaller than, well, I have 7-inch records. That's why 7 was skipped, because people have them. But I'll show a 10-inch record because I don't have the other sizes at all. And this is originally from 1983, Husker Du's Metal Circus, written backwards there. And there's the back. So, I mean, if you know Husker Du, you know It's Not Funny Anymore is on here. What else? Stuff. Songs that you may or may not know. This was repressed a couple times. So let's see, next one. Somehow these are out of order. A cover with a vehicle that isn't a car or a motorcycle. And I discovered there's lots of these too. There's, Led Zeppelin has airships, there's planes, whatnot, bicycles. I almost chose one with a bicycle, but then I went with Flood from They Might Be Giants from 1990. This is their third record. You know, that's a very ugly and probably impractical means of conveyance on water. But there is also a more conventional boat on this side. This is the original Canadian pressing, which is really great. You might know Birdhouse in My Soul, Birdhouse in Your Soul, Istanbul, Not Constantinople, etc. Letterbox. Porky Band. I think many people know this band. Nothing unusual there. Misleading cover. So for this I chose a really obscure record by John Weiss called Soft Punk. And you might think that this is a take on, like, let's take punk music and make it softer, something like that. But that's not close to what it is. This is noise or experimental. You might see it described as music concrete. The inside, well, if you open it up, you find this lovely pink vinyl, which doesn't seem very punky to me. The other thing that's interesting about this is that when you look at the cover, you see this this stack of Marshall amps, right? So it looks like that's going to make a lot of noise. But when you turn it over, you find out that they're not really amps at all. That's misleading, right? So looks like canvases and look like our canvases. So that's misleading. Weird pairing, or one you'd like to see and why. I had 3 things that came to mind, and I was ready to show. I changed at the last moment to this one because this is just too wacky. This is David Bowie's Fame 90, and this is notable because this is a featuring Queen Latifah, which I think I read somewhere that someone said it was better than the Police's 1986 remix of Don't Stand So Close to Me, but worse than George Michael's Fame 90. I have a hard time coming to a firm conclusion on that because I agree that this might be better than the Police, but the Fame 90 video is just so good that I can't objectively evaluate the song because the video is that great. If you watched it, you know what I mean. But yeah, Queen Latifah and David Bowie. This came out for the Sound and Vision tour. I think it was to help promote the tour in 1990. So yeah, not fantastic, but interesting to have. Let's see, covers showing a crime being committed. So for that, I went with Bob Marley and the Wailers, Catch a Fire, and he's obviously smoking a large blunt there. And I think at the time, this was pretty much illegal almost everywhere, but no longer. I mean, in Toronto, you can walk down the street smoking a joint if you wish to, although you cannot drink a glass of wine in a park because that is illegal. There's the back. So yeah, that's $5.97 though. Look at that price. A record by a band local to you, new or old. So this is a band that was formed in 1991 from Halifax, but have been in Toronto for years. I mentioned them in the very last video I did. I mentioned Sloan. One thing that's notable about them is that all four members, which have never changed, is very stable membership, write and sing songs, sort of like early Rio Statics. This is called Navy Blues. And I mentioned in that other video that one of the members from Sloan lives seriously like I could walk there in 5 minutes. Money City Maniacs is, I guess, a song that many people would know from this, but this is a solid Canadian rock band. Let's see, number 13, a record in which one or more of the musicians that played on it are dead. That's kind of an easy thing to do when you think about it. Just pick an old classic rock record that likely one of those guys is going to be dead. But I chose a record in which everyone is dead, and that's the Ramones. Could have chosen the first one. This is the second one. I think it's the second one. Leave Home from 76, right? Yeah, unfortunately, Johnny, Joey, Dee Dee, and Tommy have all passed away. So everyone on this record is no longer with us, sadly. So I'm officially entering Uncommon Pallor's contest, 13 for 300. Just go and check it out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, subscribe, and you'll be treated to some videos with a lot of punk and hardcore, that kind of thing. So thanks once again for watching.